Good morning. Welcome in this beautiful Monday of Easter. Welcome to this program. As I promised, uh, so we have a great success, I think, with our Lenten boosters. I heard a few feedback about the program and how it was helpful for people to reflect on during the week of Lent. So I was kind of thinking about what I was gonna do for Easter and so to continue the tradition with our Mondays. And one of the things that I don't know how well aware of that are you, but one of the things that I did when I was in the Dominican Republic with the youth was kind of we do in Lent the Stations of the Cross. And in Easter down there, we would do it at night, and we will do the Stations of the Resurrection, or like something of what is called in Latin the Via Lucis, which is kind of the same. So you do the Stations of the Cross is the Via Crucis, and in the Easter we do the Via Lucis, which means the way of the light. And so I thought, well, that would be a great opportunity for us to reflect and come together at least the Mondays of Easter to reflect. Traditionally, what we have for the Stations of the Light, of the Stations of the Resurrection, is 14 stations that will take us from the empty tomb to Pentecost. So, of course, we don't have 14 Mondays of Easter. So what I'm going to do is throughout the different episodes, we're going to maybe bring one or two, three together and reflect on them. So that I'm going to try to group the 14 in groups that kind of make sense to what's happening and what's going to be reflected. And so we're going to call this Rays of Light for the week. So here we go. If you want more information or more about that, you could always shoot me an email and we can talk more, and you could also ask us, and we probably could put a video explaining more of this tradition. But I think it's a new one, and when I was talking this idea with Eloy, he just, I do have a book and all that, and they said, I thought it was very new. But it's something that I did with the youth in the Dominican Republic in the parish. So we will go at night, and everybody will be, instead of holding the cross that we will hold in the Stations of the Cross, we will lead in the procession with the Easter candle, and then everybody will light a candle and we will process and do the different stations. And it was a beautiful experience for all those involved. So that's what I want us to do. So we're going to start with the three first ones. The first one is the empty tomb, of course, that we will have to start with there. And then the second station will be the apostles at the tomb. And then the third one is the risen Lord appears to Mary Magdalene. And so those three we are going to be reflecting today. So for the empty tomb, I'm going to ask Eloy to read the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, from 1 to 7.
When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. Very early, when the sun had risen, on the first day of the week, they came to the tomb. They were saying to one another, "Who will roll back the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" Then they looked up. They saw that the stone had been rolled back. It was very large. On entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a white robe, and they were utterly amazed. He said to them, "Do not be amazed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, the crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go and tell the disciples and Peter, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him, as he told you." Word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So we just heard this narrative of the women going to the tomb. And if you kind of pay attention to the scriptures, you could see how they were so concerned about how to move the stone. So they didn't even think about it until they were on the way. So they took the spices and everything that they wanted to take to honor the body of Jesus who have died, and they could have done it because it was the Sabbath preparation, and they couldn't do it that day. So, but very early in the morning, even when just the sun was about to rise to come out, so they ran there with all this enthusiasm to honor Jesus's body. And then when they are getting there, and they suddenly realize, like, oh, we maybe should have brought the other guys, the other apostles, to help us move the stone, and they didn't think about that. So that just kind of tell you how passionate these women were to honor Jesus, and how passionate they were to go and really be there to honor Jesus's body. But then when they get there, they get a huge surprise. The stone is moved away and the tomb is empty. And of course, for us, the empty tomb is the sign of the resurrection. They don't know that yet. They have to come to understand and believe that. But it's clearly the sign of the resurrection. The empty tomb is the sign of that Jesus has been raised. And that kind of that surprises them, that amazes them, and they need to grasp that understanding. And then suddenly they find this young man who's there, an angel, that comes and gives them the message. He went ahead to you, like as his promise. I mean, Jesus' promises is fulfilled. He told them that Jesus had promised them to be that he was going to be raised, and he was. And so the angel gave that news to them, and kind of put at ease their wondering mind that where was the body, right? And then they suddenly believe and understand that Jesus' word and promises that he did before were real and were made already real, and he is risen. And a few things to meditate here is, I find it very beautiful that the angel who tell the Blessed Mother Mary, the empty womb, that Jesus is not there, right? The angel tells Mary, you're going to have a child, and this child is going to transform the world. Then at the end, when Jesus is risen from the tomb, the empty tomb now is a sign again that Jesus has been risen, and that this our salvation and the power over death has come through the resurrection. And I find it very beautiful. And I find it also very beautiful that they use this image. Mark uses the image of the dawn, no, the new creation, the new light. He's using that images that in the morning, when that darkness of the night is broken by the sun, then we see that Jesus is risen. No, so maybe something to reflect upon the empty tomb is how open are we to the surprises of God, and how open are we to really believe and understand and take to heart the promises that Jesus does to us through the Holy Scripture and through prayer. Okay, so the next one, and I don't want to take you here the whole morning because you maybe have stuff to go. So the next one is the apostles at the tomb, and I want Eloy to read John chapter 20, 1 to 10.
On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning, while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciples whom Jesus loved, and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they put him." So Peter and the other disciples went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciples ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial cloth there. He did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with the burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciples also went in, the one who had arrived at the tomb first, and saw and believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to raise from the dead. Then the disciples returned home. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So here, I don't know if one of the things that you get from that reading is that it's a lot of running, no? Everybody is running up and down, and I think the first thing for us to reflect there is that love make us run, right? Love for the Lord, especially from the beloved disciple and Mary and Peter. They love Jesus as not only as the Lord, but as a friend and as a person that was with them in difficult moments, and they loved him, and they ran right away to the tomb to see if that was true, and then they find those beautiful things about the like the clothing that Jesus was buried with, that is put in a proper place. No, it's not like somebody just broke in and took the clothing and steal the body and do something crazy. No, it's arranged in a proper way, and I think it's also for the disciples is kind of a sign that, oh, this is the Lord, and even if the folding of the clothing that is by the tomb is kind of like probably a sign that they also kind of recognize in Jesus is many times having dinner with them and having been around and folding clothing or folding the napkins that they would use at their dinners or whatever. So they kind of recognize that sign from there, right? And they run because they love Jesus, and they run with that zeal that love make us run, make us do things. One of the interesting things here is that we hear this disciple that is called the beloved disciple, and this beloved disciple, there's different theories about that, but it's kind of, let's take it more into the spiritual dimension to it. But it seems to me that what John does is that the beloved disciple is actually a code type of word for ourselves, no? That whenever we read the beloved disciples, we could put our name and be that beloved disciple of the Lord. And especially the beloved disciple is at the foot of the cross. He seems to do everything right. He seems to be the one who understands everything. Even here, he says that the beloved disciple enter, and then he sees and believes. So he sees and believes, and he becomes he really comes to terms to the resurrection. So one of the things that I would like kind of for us to look at it in this station, the apostles at the tomb, is that running towards Jesus, that running for love. Are you passionate about your relationship with the Lord? Are you passionate about meeting Christ in the different settings of your life? Are you really consider yourself a beloved disciple, a disciple of the Lord who could be at the foot of the cross, who could be running ahead of Peter to see Jesus? How beloved you feel by God, how beloved you feel by the Lord as a disciple of Christ, as a baptized person. So let's now move into the third station of the resurrection, and that's the risen Lord appears to Mary Magdalene. And I'm going to ask Eloy to read John Gospel 20, 11 to 18.
But Mary stayed outside the tomb weeping. And as she wept, she bent over into the tomb and saw two angels in white sitting there, one at the head and one at the feet where the body of Jesus had been. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken my Lord, and I don't know where they laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus there, but did not know it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, Why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" She thought it was the gardener, and said to him, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you laid him, and I will take him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Stop holding on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and tell them, I am going to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary of Magdala went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and what he told her. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. It's it's a beautiful narration here, and when we talk about Mary Magdalene, and Mary Magdalene is the apostle to the apostles. So she's up to this moment she's a disciple following Christ, but now she's sent as an apostle. Apostle basically means a person who is sent, and she's sent by Jesus as an apostle to the other apostles to tell the good news of the resurrection, to tell that he is risen, that he is now back in life, of course, in a different way. As we can see, Mary cannot recognize him clearly until he speaks to her, until he calls her by name, and you know that's a beautiful thing there. And she also he also asks, "Whom are you looking for?" And it's kind of there's a few things that I want us to look at it. The first one is, remember when Jesus gives this speech of the good shepherd, that he will call his sheep by name, and he would and the sheep will recognize his word, his voice, and then they will follow him. So that's basically what's happening here. Mary, it's one of his flock, and when he speaks her name, she understands that it's the Lord calling her, and then she gets all excited about him. And then the other thing is, it's that Jesus asked her, "Whom are you looking for?" And if you remember also in the Gospel of John at the beginning, Jesus asked those who came to look for him, like, "What do you think? What do you seek? What are you trying to find in your life?" So now it's not a thing, but it's a person. Whom do you seek? Who are you looking for? And I think it's also a beautiful thing for us to reflect and think about our lives, and whom are we looking, or who are we seeking in our spiritual life, or we're stuck in the what and material things that could fill our lives, and not looking to really have this encounter with the risen Lord, with the person of Christ that will give us new life and give us life in the resurrection. So just not to make this longer, because it's already, because of the explanation and all that at the beginning, I feel like I've been talking for ages. But what I want us to kind of focus today here is that we are talking about the three first stations of the light, the stations of the resurrection, and they are the core of the Easter faith. First, the empty tomb, then the disciples who encounter the Lord, and then how they give witness to the faith. So, empty tomb, encounter Christ, giving witness to that faith. That's kind of at the core of the Easter faith. And I hope each one of us could also live this personal encounter with Christ and be able to be witness to that faith to others in our daily lives, sharing our faith. So I hope this is helpful for you to reflect, and I hope we are helping you in your spiritual journey, especially in Easter. Remembering that Easter is a time of joy and rejoicing, and so I hope to see you tuning in next Monday. And remember, we are the Catholic community, one faith, one family.